Hey everyone, I'm Jared.
And I'm Chantel.
Welcome to the Poured Out Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about slowing down. All right, so before we talk about slowing down, we had a top 3 suggestion that I wanted to talk about because I like board games.
Yes.
So Clay commented saying we should talk about our top 3 board games from childhood.
Yeah.
I feel like this might be easier for me than for you.
When we're saying top 3, are we saying the ones we enjoyed the most or the ones that we played to death and therefore spent the most time playing?
I kind of want to hear both now.
Okay.
I was thinking top 3 that we enjoyed the most. Or like actually wanted to play.
Yeah,
I don't,
okay.
do you actually have 3 that you wanted to play as a kid?
Well, I'm just thinking of the ones that I played the most. I don't know if I really wanted to. I don't know.
To play any games ever?
No, sometimes, but I don't know about childhood.
Okay.
But I have some games.
Okay. I'll start.
Okay.
Because I feel like I have a definite number 1 from childhood, and that was Risk.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that one.
Yeah. Because we didn't actually own Risk. And so I could only play Risk when we went to like people's houses that actually had Risk. And that wasn't very common. We didn't know a lot of people with Risk. But then one of my friends got Risk. And then from then on, it was just like that was the go-to game. We'd play for like 3 hours and nothing would get resolved.
Risk was a very complicated game for the days of our childhood, was it not?
For the games that we were used to playing, maybe. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was complicated, but it was different.
Strategy.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the games that we played, or at least that I was aware of in childhood, were like a lot of like just card games. Rolling a dice and moving, that kind of thing. But then Risk was different because you had, there was decisions to make, and it was, that was definitely my number 1. Like I have a lot of memories from, it would be later in childhood, I guess, like probably like 12 up.
To high school.
All the way like through high school of really long Risk games. But I enjoyed that. I like playing a long game that's takes a long time to play through and there's a lot going on.
Yeah. And you like strategy.
And I like strategy, which back then that was like, strategy game, Risk. Like it was so above like, what we would normally play.
Yeah. We played a game last night where you were over strategizing the game by the end, I think. We were playing Burgle Bros. You didn't want to lose.
Was it really over strategizing? I was trying to strategize a way to win.
True. You were. I think everyone else was like, just pick a way. We don't care if we die. You're nerdy that way. It's good. It's good. I like it.
Do you?
We need people like you in this world.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Not sure about that, but.
Well, the game that I definitely played the most, and I think I enjoyed it as a child, was Monopoly. Me and my one cousin that was the same age as me would come over. She would come over for a sleepover for a few days, and we would play the same game the entire time.
Like continuing on that same game.
Like someone was in debt by the millions, and we would just play.
Chugging along.
Yeah, and we wouldn't do anything else. That's all we would do. And we would just play Monopoly.
Really?
Yeah. So now when I play with the kids, I have a 30-minute time limit. I will play the game for 30 minutes, but I will not play beyond that because I burnt out.
See, Monopoly was my number 2.
Okay.
Because I really enjoyed that. We actually had Monopoly, but it was really hard to find anyone to play it with because I don't think any of my siblings wanted to play Monopoly.
Well, and no one played by the actual rules.
No, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I only realized this in recent years, that if you actually look at the rule book, the game should not last for 8 hours. Like there's actual rules to help it move along and not take forever. Yeah. But we just all made up our own rules. And
no one read the rules.
No. You get you dice and you move and you pay. And other than that, it was free parking is. I think everybody had different rules about what free parking did.
Yes, but it always made you rich.
Yeah, it was always like you collected a bunch of money if you landed on free parking, which was not a thing in the rules. It just makes the game go longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're supposed to, anytime you land on a property, somebody has to buy it.
Yes, that's different.
Yeah. And we never played that way. It was just, oh, I can't afford it. Too bad. And so you'd go around the map like 50 times and nobody would land on one property. And so nobody ever owned it.
Right. Yeah. And then the whole mortgaging thing, we never played any of that either. We just like, I owe you, and then have a big list. I mean, we did math quite a bit, trying to figure out how much debt we were in.
It's educational.
Yeah, that's the game that I definitely played the most in childhood.
Yeah, I don't think I played it very much, but I always wanted to play it. I always wanted that like longer game. We played I remember playing a lot of Dutch Blitz. But I did not like playing Dutch Blitz because I was not good at Dutch Blitz.
Yeah. And you have some people in your family that are competitive and very much like it.
Yeah, and I'm not competitive at all.
Well, I mean, yes, you're competitive too, but
no, one of my sisters, especially the one of my sisters, was very good at it. Yeah. And probably as competitive as me.
Yes, you guys are very similar. Yeah.
And it just wasn't my thing, I guess. But we would like knock her cards on the floor and keep playing just to try to catch up.
That's why she got so good too.
But she would still win all the time. But yeah, no, my number 2 was also Monopoly.
Okay, my number 2, the one that I remember playing together as a family probably the most was Rummikub.
Is that the one with the tiles?
Yeah, so you have like a little board and then you've got the tiles. They're like heavy plasticky kind of tiles,
almost like domino type shape and feeling. Yeah.
And I don't even remember how to play anymore. You had to have like a set, like a set of 3 or a run of 3 or 4 or something, and then you could add on to other people's, and
something like that.
But
I know I've played it. I think I've actually played it with your family, which
I think it was one of the few games my dad enjoyed playing. That's why we played that one so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember playing that one growing up as well, but I don't remember the rules either. Okay, so my number 3, this one was a lot harder, and I had to think of like what I enjoyed playing growing up, and there wasn't a large variety. Oh, now I just thought of another one.
I know, I have like 5 that are tied for number 3, so what do you pick?
Runner up, because I just thought of this, was Crokinole.
Oh, okay.
Which we always called Knipstash. I don't know if that's like
I don't know if that's a Mennonite
or German thing or what, but Crokinole. So if you're not, it's flicking a little disc and trying to get into, knock the other people's discs out and trying to get yours in the middle and stuff. I really enjoyed playing that one. And I think that was one that my dad enjoyed playing and my grandpa enjoyed playing.
I always thought that one was for old people. So
yeah, I fit right in. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I have my grandpa's Crokinole board, which I think is really cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
So that's your runner-up.
So that's my runner-up. The one that I had thought of was Cheat.
Oh.
And I think it's like there's all kinds of different names for it, but it's like
the card game, right?
The card game where you're trying to get rid of all your cards and you're going in a run. So the first person has to put down an ace. Okay. The next person has to put down a 2 and then a 3, but you can put down multiples if you have multiples. So you can say, I'm putting down 2 aces, and the next person can say, I'm putting down 1, 2, and the next person can say, I'm putting down 3 threes. But you don't actually have to have...
You can put other cards in there or less or more.
So you can cheat in the rules and put down like 1, 3, and 2 8s or something if you want to get rid of cards. But then people can call you out, and if they call you out and they're wrong, they take all of your cards or all the cards in the pile. Yeah. But if they call you out and you actually were cheating, then you have to take all the cards in the pile. That's right. And I think I just liked there was always like a little edge to like every single turn. It's like war, but better
but not.
In every way, because all you're doing is playing a card. You're playing the next card, but you never are quite sure if the person is being truthful and then there's like the push your luck of like, can I really get away with saying I have 3 threes?
Yeah.
because, you know, the other two people might have 2 3s in their hand and they'll call me out. Anyway, I really enjoy, have memories of playing Cheat with my cousins in like an old folks home that my grandparents were living in for a long time. I don't know why. That's just like a vivid memory of playing this game.
That's funny. As soon as you said Cheat, I thought of playing it with my cousins in my grandma's basement.
Oh, really?
So apparently we have like the same memories. Yeah.
Well, it's like one of the few games you could play with just a deck of cards that we knew how to play.
Yeah.
Other than War, which is awful.
And you can do it with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not think you were going to say Cheat, because when was the last time you played?
I don't know. But I mean, I haven't played Risk or Monopoly. Well, I played Monopoly with the kids, I guess. But I haven't played any of those games likely since shortly after high school, because I've found much better alternatives. Yes. But those were like the formulative games, I guess, from growing up.
So for my number 3, I feel like, I have so many that are all the same level. I kind of want to say Trouble, because we played that one a lot, but it's so lame. I think I'm going to go with Clue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with Clue. That was one that we would sometimes play as a family, and sometimes I would just convince my brother to play, but I was 7 years older than him, so I could figure out what he had based on what I had and try to figure it out. So it wasn't a fun game, but
well, there's like at least there's like an element of deduction in it.
There we go.
Which I think you enjoy, because you enjoy reading mystery novels and stuff and trying to figure out like what the mystery is. So I can see, I mean, it's not like a huge element to the game really, but there's some like deductive reasoning and stuff going on there.
We've played it with the kids since. Do we own it now? I don't know. But I've realized there's so many spaces to move between room to room.
Yes. Unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's way too big. They need to reduce the spaces. We should move double or something. Because you want to be in there asking the questions, not just...
Yeah, just moving around is really boring.
Yeah.
But doing the actual investigation is more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Clue was a good one. We had that one as well, I'm pretty sure.
Probably worked better for you because you had more people to play with. More options. You can't do that one with just 2 players. Not properly.
It doesn't really work very well with 2 players. I'm thinking back now to like what games we actually played, because we didn't play, like we had Monopoly. We very rarely played it. I don't think we played Clue much. I remember playing Pictionary quite a bit with my family.
Yeah, that's my worst game.
Yeah, you hate that
in the
one.
world. Oh, Charades might be up there too. No, Pictionary's worse.
Really?
Yeah.
You would rather do Charades than Pictionary? I would rather do
Charades than Pictionary.
Huh. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. I hate Pictionary.
I would much rather do Pictionary. Interesting. But yeah, we played, like, I can remember playing, like, trivia type games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it was called Tri-Bond or something like that.
Sounds familiar.
It's like a knockoff Trivial Pursuit or something. I don't know. But yeah. A lot of the game, like I really enjoyed playing games as a kid, but now I feel like the world of board games has expanded.
Yeah, it's very different.
Or at least my awareness of it has expanded, and so now.
Plus, we have friends who have a board game store, so that helps things out.
Yeah, we learn about all kinds of different games.
Of exposure.
And, have the opportunity to play all kinds of games. So I still really like board games. I know it's not like your top thing to do.
I don't mind it.
You suffer through playing sometimes, which I appreciate.
I'm willing to do it with people. And sometimes, like, we had that Lord of the Rings...
it's up there, yeah.
That one going for a while, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's just some games, and learning a new game constantly.
Yeah.
That I don't enjoy.
You don't, yeah. So what about that... Like, was it the fact that it's more like a narrative kind of idea?
It's got a storyline running through. Plus, I think too what really helped is you use an app for that one. So, because sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I forget at the end of the turn you do this and this and this. And you're really good at remembering that stuff, which is great. But then it's like, oh, you just use the computer. And it's like, okay, now we do this. And I don't know, for some reason, it just works better for my brain.
It definitely makes things move along faster.
Yeah.
Like, I don't generally like the idea of board games that have a digital component to them, because I feel like it's Like when I play a board game, I want to just get away from
that's fair.
digital stuff. But there are some games where it just speeds it up so much.
And it's not like you're doing all of it on the computer or anything. It's just
it
shows
just helps
you where to put the map, and
it just helps speed things up. And like you could do it all without it, but it would take a lot. The game would take like twice as long to play.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite games we've played in the last while, and we haven't played it in like a year.
I would say probably close to 2 years.
Something to get into this winter.
Yeah.
Fall. Now.
It is fall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, well, there's the Robin Hood game as well that we've played with the kids.
That one's fun.
Which is, again, like kind of that narrative idea.
Yep.
I enjoy that kind of thing where you're, like, especially to do as a family, where it's like you're kind of like going through a story together. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Often more fun than those like one-off games for me.
Yep.
And I think the kids enjoy that too.
Yep.
Like,
and like the Robin Hood game, we've been playing it for a few months, and slowly getting places, doing the challenges that we're supposed to be doing, and they remember from like last time, oh yeah, we made it, or we didn't do so well.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Okay, so that's top 3 board games. That was all 3, right?
Yep.
Okay, top 3 board games
plus
from
childhood,
plus some bonuses, plus I guess some modern or current day things that we enjoy.
Yep.
I enjoy a lot of board games, so I won't.
This would be a whole episode, whole series if we.
I could probably talk for a while about board games, but I won't. It's probably not why people are listening, if they're listening.
I don't know.
You never know. Okay. I feel like we need to give a recap of this past week.
Yeah, it's been like
it's been another
a year and a week.
Yeah, it's felt long and just weird.
Yep.
I'm trying to even think of.
So after we recorded our last podcast, we went to the corn maze.
Oh yeah.
Like
forgot about that part.
And that was like, it feels like a lifetime ago. Went to the corn maze with some friends, which was a great autumn bucket list thing for me that I like to check off each year. It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Other than so dusty.
Yes. It's been very dry.
Yeah.
And just basically walking through black dirt and corn.
And it was right after that I started feeling sick. And I was like, oh, that was only this last week that I got sick?
Yeah.
So it's been a week. A lot of sickness.
Yeah, it's like definitely have like some sickness slowly going through the house, and hopefully we're at the end of that now.
I think so.
But it's just made everything feel like really dragging in a lot of ways. Like had a lot of change in the house, and yet we still feel like we haven't really like been able to really feel like what that change means or how it actually feels now. We have 3 less kids in the house.
Yep. Yeah, so on Wednesday?
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
When the last of our foster kids left. And I don't know, it was a bit of a disaster, like chaos on the social services part
more
of things.
Miscommunication or lack of communication.
And not on our end.
No.
Between people.
Yeah.
But we're officially on a break from fostering.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what comes next, I guess. But right now, yeah, we've just decided to slow down, to take a break, and just kind of, I don't know, regather our thoughts, I guess, and
yes,
and not make any like major decisions as far as fostering goes yet,
because it changes.
Yeah.
So yesterday we went out with our 2 foster kids that we dropped off last week. We took them out for the morning to try to make the transition easier. That was a social worker's idea. Does it make it easier? I don't.
It was good. 95% of it was good, I would say.
Is the remaining 5% the drop-off?
Yes.
Yeah. That was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so we took them out just for the morning and kind of hung out with them, took them for lunch. And it was good to see them. It was good to hang out with them.
And seeing that they're doing well.
yeah, they really did seem like they were happy to see us, but they weren't like it. You didn't get the vibe that they were struggling there, which was really encouraging to see. And so it felt like throughout the time we were with him, it felt like, okay, like this feels okay, like they're doing okay. I can kind of have peace with this.
Yep.
And then we dropped them off, and it was really hard for the 4-year-old especially. And then all the feelings come back and change, and you don't know what to think. So Friday, yeah, that was tough. But there really is nothing we can do. I mean, it's out of our hands entirely anyway, which is kind of nice, because we can't. It doesn't really matter what we decide at this point about our fostering future in regards to the 2 kids that we've had for 2 years, because they're going to be where they are for now, and that isn't going to change anything based on what we decide. So that's
any decisions that we were to make regarding fostering, like if we were to continue, it would just be bringing other kids into our home, and wouldn't have anything to do with them, which I don't feel at least ready for.
No, we definitely, I think, need to take a bit of time for sure before we would do anything like that again. Just even for our own kids, I think we need to just get some more stability in our house as well for a time. So yeah, it was a weird week. I'm hoping we're on the end of the sickness train. I hope so too, because it's made through.
One kid hasn't gotten sick yet though, so
I know that's the worry. But maybe she won't.
Yeah. And then we sold a bunch of stuff this week.
Yes.
Because even if we do like crib and baby gates and a bunch of baby stuff.
all the like under 2-year-old kind of stuff is pretty much out of the house. The stuff that we wanted to sell or like get rid of at least immediately is gone, which is nice.
Yeah, and like the thought is if they come back, she was pretty much ready to be in a bed, and like it's not going to stop them from necessarily coming back, but it was good to get. I don't know. It always feels good to get rid of stuff.
Purge a little bit. Yeah. I mean, and stuff like baby gates and baby camera like monitors and stuff. We weren't using them for the last while anyway.
Well, baby gates we legally needed with kids under 2 for fostering, but we plan on not fostering that young anyway, even if we do. So it's an easy decision.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that part is nice. It kind of feels like, I don't know, every time we get rid of something like that, it always feels like a little bit of a load off or lightening, I guess. And then our daughter moved upstairs, moved her room upstairs. She likes to move rooms all the time. So and it worked out well. Like, just, it's a tough time, just emotionally, and I think it's good for her to be just physically closer to everybody instead of being, she was the only one downstairs. So yeah, just all kinds of different things going on.
So when we were selling stuff, you were using Facebook Marketplace quite a bit.
Yep.
It brought up something that I feel pretty passionate about. First of all, some people are just not willing to drive anywhere for anything.
Yeah, so we live like 10 to 15 minutes outside of a larger city. And so when you sell things where we are, people either assume you're in that larger city, or if they realize you're not, they will not be willing to drive.
Yeah,
to come pick something up.
Even if it would actually take them longer to pick something up from the city. Like
if they were on the opposite side of the city, they would drive half an hour to go pick something up, but they will not drive 15 minutes down like a really easy highway to go pick. That bothers me a lot. Sorry, I'll stop ranting about that.
Oh, but that leads into so there's that, but then also, see, I haven't had Facebook Messenger on my phone probably the entire time we've been in this house, so like a good 8 years. So I don't necessarily realize how impatient people are. Because some people would message you wanting to pick stuff up, and like 20 messages in like a 30-second span.
Like ding, ding.
Yeah.
Ding.
Does every sentence have to have its own message? And do people not realize that other people have lives and like, they can't wait a few minutes for a response? I'm trying to breathe. Calm down. This is something I feel very strongly about because...
Well, we are, like, as a society, people assume you're attached to your phone.
Yeah.
And so when you send a message, you assume people will see it immediately and respond to it immediately. Generally.
Yes.
And I feel like I kind of have the same expectations sometimes too, where it's like, well, I've sent a message and nobody's seeing it, or nobody's replying to it. I think it depends on the context. Like if I'm buying something on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or whatever, I feel like I don't expect immediate replies there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is annoying when it's like 5 messages in a row within the span of 5 minutes, and you're like, I just haven't had time to respond to this message yet. Like, it's not high on my priority list. Just calm down.
Yeah, it's like it's a $20 thing. Just wait a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something that was, and I feel like maybe we'll get into this with slowing down.
Yeah.
But it made me think about how we can train people to realize how quick or slow we respond to messages, because there's some people I know, they'll take a while to respond.
That is true. Yeah.
And I kind of like knowing that going into it, because if it's someone that's like, oh, they're always a really quick responder and they're not responding now, it's like, oh, did I say something that offended them?
Yeah.
Is something wrong? Like,
especially in a world where you can see when people have read your message.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that function. Like, I like it in some ways, but it's also like it implies then, like, sometimes you read something, a message, and you're just like, you have time to read it.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have time to formulate a response to it. If it needs more than just a, thumbs up or whatever. But then I feel like as soon as you've read it, they know that you've read it, and so I feel like the pressure then to, like, I need to respond, right?
Yes. But sometimes, it takes a while to figure out what you want to say.
Yeah, but you're totally right. Like, you have different expectations of different people, because okay, well, I text this person and they usually respond, right away. And so then if they don't, you start to think like, oh, are they okay? Did I say something? Did I offend them or something, right? But then there's other people that you message and you might not hear back from them for a day or two.
Yeah, and that's normal.
And so you don't have those same expectations.
Yeah, it's actually funny. This makes me think of like quirky things that people do with texting. But I have a couple of friends who I'll send them a message, and then a few minutes later, whenever they respond, it's like ding, ding, ding. Like, some people, you just know that they like to send their messages in multiple messages.
Like, instead of just putting lines in the message and continuing typing, they'll send that one, and then they'll write another thought, and then they'll write another thought, and send each thought individually.
And then I was just like, oh, it's so and so, because I messaged them, so I know this is them and the way they respond to messages. Yeah,
I'm a paragraph typer, where if I'm writing something long, it'll all just be in one giant text.
But is it WhatsApp? I think it's WhatsApp. It will send the whole message, but then you have to read more. Or something I can't remember if it's that one or if it's Google Chat. One of them doesn't really do well with long messages.
I haven't noticed that before, but maybe my messages aren't as long.
Yeah.
I need to slow down in my talking, apparently.
Yeah, me too. Always.
Slowness. No, but that does lead right into the idea of slowness, at least. So we finally watched the last video in the ruthless elimination of hurry.
Yeah, and I feel like we did a really good job of not hurrying through that.
Yeah, that's true. That was deliberate. We definitely just took our time with that and weren't at all just distracted with other things.
Yeah, every day it was like, we're going to watch that tonight. Yeah, it took us a whole week.
And it's 10 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like now after watching it, I should really read the book.
I'm very excited to read the book. I have it requested from the library. All 11 copies are out, and it's not coming to me yet. So,
yeah, and I feel like this last one, I feel like I really need to read the chapters associated. And I don't know if it's multiple chapters associated with each
I'm not
session.
sure
I'm assuming so, because there's only
there's like five
sessions, and there's probably more chapters than that. But just some of the things he was talking about, I'd like to kind of get a little bit more detail on what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of, so he was talking about slowing down, and he was talking mostly in the context of like physically slowing down.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but it does make sense. Like, because we talked about before how like you can't really separate the mind and the body, really. And I think that's a common thing to do, but we're created with a body and a mind, and it's all one. Like, it's all part of who we are. And that's kind of what he was talking about. And so he was talking about doing things physically slower to help slow down like your soul, essentially, so that you actually have more capacity then to love people and to love Jesus, and which I hadn't really considered, like, because I know the last time I preached, it was on, we were going through a portion that dealt with anxiety, and so I remember studying through that, and just how, you know, anxiety affects the body and it affects the mind. Like, it's all of who we are. Like, you can't really chunk it out. Like, we're both a body and a soul, and we can't just divide it out. And he was talking about similar things. Yeah,
but because if you're in a season where you have to go, it affects you mentally. And then the other way around too. If your mind is all cluttered, then you physically feel it. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think, like, culturally, you think about, you know, replying to messages. I feel like our culture is all about like immediacy and speed, and like even talking to the kids, just thinking of like shows we would watch as a kid. And we talked about this last week,
2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, about, well, we were talking to the kids about how when you had a favorite show, right, you had to wait for at least a week before the next episode of that show was on, and you could only watch it at a certain time on a certain day.
Right, because we're watching Rings of Power, and it's only coming out every Friday, and this is like a whole new world to them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then back in the day, you could only watch it on Friday during that 1 hour that it was on.
Yeah, and sometimes they wouldn't have a new episode, and they would just show a rerun, and you'd have to wait till the next week. But we're so used to like, oh, I want to do this, boom, it's there. And even like, you know, we have like the fastest internet possible we can get, because, you know, you don't want to wait for half a second for a web page to load. Like, it's got to load in 0.1 second. It's just like we're so used to everything being fast and quick and when we want it, and like we're not waiting for anything. And so, yeah, I feel like I need to read the chapter to really get a lot. I want to dig into kind of what he was talking about there a little more, but he did mention a few things to try.
Yeah.
And some of those really hit home with me, at least.
Yes.
So the first one he mentioned, and so these are things to try. This isn't like a legalistic, like, you have to do this.
No, and these are to train yourself. It's not necessarily something you do for life.
Yeah.
It was just...
He was talking about things to do to practice being okay with waiting, essentially. Yes. Which I am not good at that.
I had a friend back when I think we had just finished our adoption, and she said something that just stuck with me, because she said, I wish God would just realize I'm never going to be patient and stop testing me. Because I feel like, that's how I feel sometimes. It's like you want the patience, but then you have to go through.
You don't want to go through the discipline of learning that patience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just want the end result than any of the work. Like, how is that too much to ask?
Exactly.
So the first thing he mentioned was that he will sometimes intentionally get in the longest lineup at a store
and not pull out his phone.
And not pull out his phone. And that one to me really hit home, because I will scan the aisles for the shortest line.
Yeah.
I will get into that line, and then I will immediately look at all the other lines to see if I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Or if I should jump to the next line.
Yeah.
And I don't think I haven't jumped to the next line for a while now, because I feel like that always backfires.
Well, yeah, then you're like, oh, this is the shortest, we got the good one, and then they always have something wrong with something doesn't scan, or they thought that this would be a better price, or
someone has like 30 questions about this box of pasta or something, and
their credit card doesn't work.
And I feel like sometimes maybe God's just like, see, just calm down, just slow down. But yeah, that one really hit home with me. I do not like standing in lines, and I think even I think about commuting.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't had to commute a lot lately because I'm not working in the office 5 days a week anymore. But I would get so impatient, especially on the way home, because the day is done. You just want to go home. And then the way I had to drive home crossed 3 train tracks. 1,
4. Pretty sure it's 4.
4. 3 that were kind of connected though.
Yeah.
Where it was the same train. So there would be times when I would drive home and I would see the train coming and know that I was not going to beat it. And so I would have to wait for it at one intersection. Yeah. And as soon as it was gone, I could go. Then I would drive for like 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Yeah. And then I'd stop again for the same train as it was crossing the road at a different spot. And then I would drive again, and I would have to wait for the train a third time just to get into where we live. And that would drive me nuts.
It does happen.
Yeah. And so, just the idea of purposely putting yourself in a situation where you have to wait, and then not immediately jumping to like distraction, jumping to, I'll just pull out my phone.
Yeah. Just like sitting in that and I don't know, quieting yourself and just being patient.
Yeah, he was just talking. Yeah, it's just the idea of training yourself to be okay with waiting.
Seems so backwards.
It does, because we're all about like efficiency and So that's one I feel like I'm gonna have to try. Yeah,
I wonder, will they even let you do it, or they'll be like, oh, this one's shorter, come on to this checkout lane,
maybe. But at a place like Costco, I guess every line is long. But I think even just the idea of not immediately pulling out your phone, because it's such a muscle memory thing where it's like, oh, I'm not doing anything right now, I guess I'll pull out my phone. And I don't even know why. Often it's like I don't have anything I'm specifically looking up or wanting to do. It's just there.
Yeah. He talked about arriving at appointments early.
Right.
Which I, especially in the season when we've had little kids, I do on purpose. I bring a book and I go early, and then I'm kind of annoyed when like the doctor gets me in early. It's like, didn't you know this was my reading time?
I wanted to get through a couple more chapters first. Come on.
But it's probably not exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, I guess it's not a phone, so it's maybe better than just mindlessly scrolling
it's
stuff.
Not there
but
for
it's
a
still
distraction. It's there for something that I want to read, but it's not really teaching me patience.
Yeah, it's still like entertainment kind of, or like keeping your mind busy with something. But so speaking of, wanting that time, just when you're away with the kids, he talked about parenting your phone, which I thought was a really good to get his point across, because I immediately understand what he's talking about, because so parenting your phone, he's talking about putting your phone to bed before you go to bed, and getting up before your phone is up, basically. Like as a parent, you want that time where your kids are in bed before you go to bed, and you get to just kind of enjoy that time. I know we really like being able to get up before the kids woke up, that hasn't been really a possibility in the last, well, it's been a possibility, but we haven't been willing to get up at 5 a.m, I guess.
Yeah. It's a little bit easier now.
Yeah. Just that time in the morning to read or whatever before it's like go time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he related that, do the same thing with your phone where, you put your phone away before you're ready to go to bed, and you just have some time where it's not even accessible really to you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that idea. He talked about getting an old school alarm clock. My only problem with something like that is brightness. Like I have my phone turned to like a display clock for night, and I have it so dim that when I first turn it on, I can't even tell if it's on. But in the night, I can see it. And I don't know if you can find alarm clocks that are like, surely they make dimmable ones now.
Oh, I would think so. That's maybe something to look at, so last night I moved my phone charger into the main living area, and I had talked about wanting to do that for a while because my phone,
yours is really bright when it's charging.
Yeah, and it has to be like face up because it has to use a wireless charger because the other charging port doesn't really work anymore. So, and it annoys me at night because I feel like it's very bright all the time. Even though the screen is off, it's still showing the always on display, and it still feels bright. Even like the red charging light bothers me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I moved it to charge overnight somewhere else, and it was hard in some ways because I'm used to being able to look at the time when you wake up.
Yeah.
So I woke up and I had no idea what time it was. I'm blind without my glasses, so I couldn't see what the time was on your clock. I couldn't even see it with my glasses on. It was so dim.
I know. I like it really, really dim.
Yeah. So we might have to invest in a couple of $5 alarm clocks.
What? They have to be dimmable. Are they those $5?
Maybe they'll be $7.
Wait, we're so blind. Yeah, we both need our own.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I can see to your side.
And I definitely can't see to your side.
You're twice as blind as me.
But I do think that's something that I want to continue. And it's even for our kids' sake to set that example of we don't take our phones in our room for night kind of thing. I think that's a good line to draw.
Yep.
And so like having like a
charging station,
public space for that's where the phone goes at a certain time, and it stays there until a certain time.
Be there unless you're using it for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a bit of a struggle, like, so we don't have a home phone.
Yeah.
And so you do want to be able to be contacted.
Well, that's why I got my watch.
Yeah.
Because I could never even hear my phone even when it was right beside me. And so I always call my phone or my watch like a mediocre smartwatch. It's not a smartwatch. It's like mediocre because it tells me, alerts me of messages, and that's about it. It tracks my steps.
That's mostly what you want it to do, right? Like I have one as well, and
yours is smarter than mine.
But that's basically all I use it for, other than I use it to pay for things.
Yeah, but some people can like reply to messages and
take
notes, and
I just don't.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah. And I mean, I have like, I think 4 replies that are auto set on here. I can say yes, no, okay. Yeah. And possibly on my way, which can't say I've ever used.
But yeah, then you don't have to worry about constantly having your phone in your pocket or whatever.
Yep.
Because you can still get the important messages. So I feel like that's something that I want to get better at doing, because it's just too easy to pull it out for no actual reason and just get distracted by.
Yep. Retrain those muscle memories.
Yeah, because it's not even like, and often it's like just 30 seconds.
Yep.
But I really need to be entertained for those 30 seconds? Like I couldn't slow down enough just to like not, like I had to immediately get entertained. And he talked about how phones are like they're designed to keep our attention.
Yeah. To pull us in.
Yeah, and they're designed to be addictive.
Yep.
And so one of the other things that he talked about was turning your smartphone into a dumb phone, which I know that's kind of been like a trend, I feel like, recently, where often it's younger people that are like buying dumb phones, basically phones that don't have apps and stuff.
Well, yeah, I know multiple people that have gone back to the flip phone.
Yeah. And I understand the appeal of that in some ways. There's still so many convenience things with the smartphone that I feel like I don't think I could do that. But he did talk about turning your phone into a dumb phone by like removing all of the unnecessary, like the ones that don't actually, the apps that don't actually help you or save you any time. They're just kind of there for entertainment or time wasting purposes.
Yeah, and he talked about grayscaling which sounds really cool, except I mostly use my phone as a camera.
Yeah.
So I don't want to grayscale my screen, but apparently it's got some like really cool studies. I'm kind of curious to see.
Yeah, I wanted to look into that one more because I hadn't really heard of that either. But apparently it makes it like physically less addictive to look at your phone if you just go into grayscale mode, which I guess all phones have the ability to do that, or at least modern smartphones seem to.
Curious to know if you could do that with everything but the camera or something.
Yeah, maybe there's a way to do that.
Something to look up.
Yeah, and again, like these were all things, they were ideas.
Yeah.
Like not like this is how you have to live your life. You have to do this. It's more like try some of these things out. And I mentioned there was a bunch of more. What did he call them? He called them.
I don't remember.
Something games. He called them some kind of games.
Oh yeah, because he makes it a game for himself to like. Yep.
Yeah, he says he doesn't want it to be a legalistic thing, but it's more just like it's like a challenge. Like, can I do this? Like, can I go into the longest line when I know there's a shorter line, and can I just wait?
Yeah.
So that was really challenging for me. I don't know. I feel like that one I have to try. Like the longest line one, I feel like I have to try that.
Do I have to be there with you? No, just kidding.
No, I won't make
Actually, I mean, not that, I mean, I'll do it with you, but it would be harder to do it by yourself because then you've got nothing to...
Exactly.
Yeah. It's more effective if you do it by yourself.
Well, if we're together, I'm not going to pull out my phone.
Yeah.
Unless we're both like curious about something, we want to look something up.
We Google things
generally.
Often,
yeah. I feel like we do a pretty good job of not being on our phones when we're out together.
Unless we're searching something.
Unless we're searching for something, or you're taking pictures of things.
Yes. I'm often taking pictures of things. Sometimes our walks take like an extra 5 minutes because I'm like, okay, last picture.
Yeah. There was at least 3 last pictures today.
This morning,
yeah.
Yeah. And then each time I said last picture, I took like
but that was
3
multiple,
to 5 pictures.
Yeah, multiple pictures of each last picture.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It made me slow.
You were learning to be slow down. It made me wait. Patient,
yeah, and I didn't pull out my phone.
No, you just got to be all high and mighty.
Observed the birds as they flew.
It was so cool. The birds were flying, and the sun was rising, and you could see like the colors of the sunrise on their wings as they were.
It was really cool.
Yeah. So I tried to take a picture, and one of the gulls like stopped right overhead and was like, "Yeah, take a picture of me. This is my good side." So
that's right. It was just kind of like hovering there.
Yeah. So
plus we saw like a bird we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Which we didn't even know. I guess we have kingfisher, some kind of...
A belted kingfisher.
Belted kingfisher.
Yeah, I had seen it in the bird book, but I don't think I'd ever seen one before.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. So...
And, we were going slow, so that's why we...
Well, I think walking, like going for regular walks is a good way to slow down. It's been very helpful.
Yeah.
Either when we do it together or on our own or... It's
been really helpful in a lot of ways.
Also gives us time to just talk about life.
Yeah, which is part of that, like, I feel like that is part of, like, slowing down and not just always go, but, like, taking time to, like, actually talk about what's been going on and how we're doing. And
he was talking about, like, comparing this to, like, Jesus' life and stuff and how, they had to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like taking ideas from his life of how to slow down, but he had to. Yeah,
like we have to use those same ideas, but in kind of our modern context, I guess, right? Because he didn't have smartphones and he didn't have highways that get you go where you want to go in really fast and
fast food.
Yeah.
Everything
took more time.
Yeah.
And we could definitely stand to like get back to some of those things where we just take our time with things. And so that's the challenge for...
I think that leads to more opportunities for having our lives open for other people to come into our lives and more time to listen to God and just instead of always us telling him all the things.
Yeah. Asking and yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing with the phone, especially with like putting it to bed and getting up before you get your phone. It's just having that time, like before you go through your social media updates from the night or read the news or whatever, you like ignore the phone, spend some time praying, spend some time reading the Bible. And I feel like that's just such a better way to start your day.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to do if your phone isn't really accessible in the morning, because I don't like mornings. I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
I like to lie in bed for a while if I at all possibly can. But then the temptation, if your phone is right there, is just to grab it and just mindlessly scroll.
Right.
Instead of just taking that time to like enjoy the quiet and the silence and the rest, and spend some time praying before you get up and go about your day. So I think that's the challenge. I think I'm gonna definitely keep the phone out of the room for at least, I want to try that for a week for sure. I feel like that one will probably stick.
Yeah, we just need to find a clock.
We'll need to find a clock, yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like, oh, it's the middle of the night and it's 6 a.m. And sometimes I feel like, oh, it's 6 a.m. and it's 2 a.m. So I gotta make sure I'm waking up at the right time.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know if other people have ideas for like ways to practice waiting.
Yeah. If you have any ideas, leave them in the comments. If you're on YouTube, if you're not, you can head over to Pour It Out on YouTube and leave us some comments. We really appreciate the feedback we've been getting and the comments and just the love that you're pouring out to us. We really appreciate it. I think that's it for this week. We're going to try some slowing down, and maybe we'll have to report back how the long line test goes.
Now we need we're going to go shopping this week too. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Everywhere we go has to be longest line.
Challenge accepted.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.